Hello, everyone. How was lunch? Okay, obviously people can't hear me. Good afternoon, everyone. It's great to be with you. You see, the problem with being short, this is a very tall podium. And you can probably only see my eyes if I stand behind it. That's why I'm here. Good afternoon. It's great to be here to demonstrate that we are ready to take on today's crisis. A crisis caused by an attack on democracy, an attack on public institutions. We don't have to look very far, just south of the border, to see the rapid breakdown of public institution. A few days ago, I was at a the Toronto Library had an annual fundraiser. So it was a gathering of all the librarians. And they were just whispering to each other. Yeah, but what? Well, American librarians are hiding books. Ooh, hiding books. Why? Because they are afraid that the books might be considered to be too diverse, too woke, too whatever, and books that might attract the wrong attention and cause the book to be banned, library funding cut. But guess what? Not only is censorship scary, just last Wednesday, the American Institute of Library Service was closed. The entire institution closed. And all the grants to libraries across the nation, down south, have been cut, which means summer reading program, e-books, all of that are gone. And it's not just the library, it's the National Institutes of Health, 1 in 5 people gone, university grants cuts, widespread cuts to everything under the sun, anything public. Why is that important? It's because we are beginning to get, well, not beginning, it's been for quite a while, that the idea of that government services, the institution that bring us together, is not functioning. It is destructive. And you hear it over and over again. That is broken. Yeah, you heard this? That the public service is broken. That the government is broken. The idea that public institution is not a good place to be. Down south, we heard for many years now, drain the swamp. You heard that, right? You heard that there's bureaucracy, red tape. You hear those words. What does that mean? It means that the general public begin to think that the public service is them. This is us. It's us and them. There's a clear division, and that is dangerous. Why is it dangerous? Yes, of course, we can come together and repair it, make it better, improve on it. But just to get rid of it means that there's no more institution that bring us together. So how do we defend our democratic institutions against such attacks? How do we fortify them and make them more resilient? And what do we do when we face this kind of attack? I think it's important that we open up government. So ordinary citizens, so movement groups, so unions can get something done, can work together to make change and continue to improve their services. Let me tell you a story. You know me and story. A friend of mine called Janet Marlowe. Janet Marlowe worked for the RCMP for a long time. She faced terrible, terrible abuse every day. It took a toll on every aspect of her life. She told me she was losing her hair just going in. She would throw up. Why? Because she was sexually harassed and abused in RCMP. So, of course, she complained. Nothing happened. They had 2 years of RCMP investigation of themselves that determined that nothing happened. Janet then saw a report where a colleague reviewed that she had also endured abuse. And Janet said, her story was my story. And that was the start. She then decided to contact the reporter and then started talking about it and found 150 more female RCMP officers with the same story. And the fuse was lit. She had a class action lawsuit against RCMP with 3,200 women. 1 in 4 that worked in RCMP. They all shared their story. They won their court case. They had a $100 million settlement and apology. But guess what? No systemic change from the federal government. So they won the individual cases, but the system is still not working. Another decade passed. She kept working at it. She saw me on TV one time. I was running the Institute for Change Leaders. She decided to call us up. I said, well, Janet, you need to keep telling your story, but you need to do more than that. You need to organize. You need to bring people together. She said, I already did that in the class action lawsuit. I said, no, you need to challenge the system. You need to go after the government. Oh, how do I do that? Well, let's do it together. So she started organizing. She started bringing all the people, RCMP, the Army, police. They started bringing it together. She built a movement and build it. And then there was a bill that got introduced in the House of Commons, Bill 20. It's an independent oversight over the RCMP so that there's no bias, no fear of reprisal for those who came forward. So, getting a bill introduced is great. It passed second reading. Wow. And then it got stuck. Nothing happened. I said, well, you need someone from the inside to help you out. Someone that knows how the system works. I introduced her to Libby Davis. Who knows? Who doesn't know Libby Davis? Okay, let me tell you who's Libby Davis. Libby Davis was the NDP House Leader. She was a long time, 20, 25 years as a member of parliament and city councilor. She knows how to cut through the House of Commons, how to get things done. This is the power of people working on the outside. This is Janet Marlowe with her team, always protesting and petitions, letter writing. And then she met a Libby Davis. Yes, you're showing the photo of Libby Davis? Yeah, yes, I see you. Libby said, this is how you're going to push the MP. This is how you're going to get it into the committee. This is how you're going to have amendments in the committee. This is how you're going to get it to the third reading. This is how you're going to get it. It'll be the law and get it past the Senate before the next election. Wow. 33 years later, Janet Marlowe, on October last year, she gave me a call and said, Olivia, guess what? That Bill C-20 became law in the, yes! Woohoo! It's amazing. She said that she's never going to give up. And she said that when we face a challenge, yes, it might take 30 years. By God, I'm going to do this. And she learned how to make change from the outside and the inside. The connection is hard, but it's important that we take the outside momentum and connect to the people from the inside who know how to make the change. I can't imagine what Janet would do had she not encountered a Libby Davis that know how to get this thing done, right? She would just be circling around, right? And that is what democracy is about. It's about connecting, about making changes, about building a movement from the outside, lobbying, getting the power, but also making things happen on the inside and connecting the public to the public servants. Because, yes, PSAC, PSAC represent the public servants, right? Yes, thank you. Yes, I'm looking at you. And they welcome people saying, this is the way we can change. This is how we can make the movement better, to make it the public servants serve us better. And it's hard to do. But it happens, what I've noticed, the Tea Party went in to the Republicans and changed the Republican Party. The Freedom Convoy went in and changed the Conservative Party. We need to figure out a way to influence the power and go in and make the change and learn how to do that well. In Toronto, instead of hiding books, the city has the highest circulation of e-books in the world. Yes, the library. The library is now going to be open 7 days a week with longer hours because it got more investment in libraries. And people that want to improve the libraries are working with their librarians. They're working with the librarian unions. They are looking at ways to have even more program. We celebrate our libraries for teenagers to hang out, have fun, learn together for free. That is what public institutions can do. When fortified through change, they can weather any crisis. And when a group of people come together, they can accomplish so much. They can make laws, they can change things in the House of Commons, they can make a huge difference. So, coming back to today's crisis, when we are under threat with a senseless and damaging trade war, of course we will make a difference. We will pull together, look out for each other, have each other's back, protect Canadian jobs, support Canadian businesses, and emerge stronger than ever. Right? Yes. I want to leave you with one thought. Canadians, who are we? We are proud Canadians. But we are a country from all over the world who have left hard times, famine, persecution, in search of better economic opportunities. And often we left everything behind. My mom and dad surely did. And we start all over again. And that is resilience. The spirit is the building block of our democracy, of our country. That is what makes us strong. And that is why we're going to emerge much stronger. Let us take this opportunity to get things done boldly, and using today's theme, daring to come together and take up the challenges. Broadbent Institute bring all of us together, and they harness the energy to create change. Today's awards means a lot for my family and everyone touched by Jack's legacy. We are all familiar with Jack's passion. He inspired and mobilized people. He nurtured those around him to make a difference. He demonstrated when workers and communities and political activists come together, we are stronger, right? We are stronger together. Not only do we dare to take on today's crisis, we dare to do it together because we know that we could do this together. So thank you for being here. And here is Executive Director Jennifer Hassum to present this year's Jack Layton Award winner. Thank you so much.
Hello. It gives me great pleasure to introduce to you to this year's award winners. Chiara, Charlene, Arpan, and Rashid from the York South-Weston Tenants Union, representing 3,000 tenants at York South-Weston. That's right, give it up for them.
Wow. On behalf of Charlene, Arpan, Rashid, and myself, and the 3,000 members of the York South-Weston Tenant Union, we would like to sincerely thank the Broadbent Institute for this award. It is an absolute honor for us to be the recipient of the Jack Layton Progress Prize. On a personal note, Jack Layton was a big inspiration for me when I was first getting involved in politics in high school. He came to our neighborhood of York South-Weston in Toronto for an event when I was 16 years old. And I remember introducing him to my neighbors as the guy with the coolest mustache on Parliament Hill. It is an honor for us to receive this award named after Jack, a man who has inspired so many people, myself included. Being the organizers that we are, we'd like to take this opportunity to share some of the reflections from our tenant union and our successful rent strike. They told us what we were trying to do was impossible, and the cards were certainly stacked against us. Big corporate landlords were jacking up our rents while failing to uphold their basic responsibilities. Conservative and liberal politicians at every level were either drinking their Kool-Aid or beholden to their interests. Justin Trudeau was handing over billions in corporate welfare to our landlords, and Doug Ford was doing the same while also making it easier for them to gouge tenants by removing rent control altogether. As a result, our rents were going up higher than inflation, and certainly higher than our wages could keep up. To add insult to injury, while our rents were skyrocketing, our homes were deteriorating. We were dealing with broken elevators, repairs that went ignored for years, pest infestations that got so bad Canada Post called our building unsafe and refused to deliver mail to the buildings. When big corporate landlords are squeezing tenants out of our homes with record profits, 50% of the rent we pay is profit. And when our elected governments are not only letting them get away with it, but actually making it easier for them to do so, well, then tenants have a decision to make. Do we accept this is just the way things are, or do we organize to fight it? Needless to say, we, the tenants of York South-Weston, refuse to accept this status quo. But when you're going up against a Goliath, like the massive real estate giants that we were up against, you have to get organized. You don't need one David. You need an army of Davids. You need a union. We started with simple actions like a petition to the landlord and requesting a meeting to discuss our concerns, but they ignored us. Then we built up a little more courage. We put up signs on our front doors and banners on our balconies opposing the rent increases. This time they tried to intimidate us with the police and private security, but they still refused to meet with us to address our concerns. We tried bringing our grievances to the landlord and tenant board, but tenant applications take 3 to 4 times longer than landlord applications, So the board either ignored us or dismissed our applications altogether. And at this point, we were faced with another decision. Do we give up because no one is listening to us? Or do we make it impossible for us to be ignored? And that's when we started the largest rent strike in Toronto's history. And well, the rest is history. History that we made because we got organized. In August last year, the rent strikes of Rashid's buildings finally got the repairs they had needed for decades. In October of last year, Charlene's buildings collectively bargained and won a settlement after 16 months on rent strike. And now, anytime the landlord wants to evict one of our members, they have to go through our union first. But we didn't stop there. Because of our rent strikes, we uncovered the use of price fixing in the Canadian rental market across the country. And now the Competition Bureau of Canada has finally launched an investigation into the corporate landlord cartel taking over this country. But we didn't stop there either. Our tenant union is growing. This movement is growing. And just yesterday, one of the newest tenant associations of the York South-Weston Tenant Union just won $1 million back into the pockets of 700 tenants in Toronto. So my friends, we're getting shit done. What can I say? David and Goliath stories don't happen very often, but when they do, it's because David's got a union. And on that note, we'd like to close by saying much of our tenant organizing is modeled after the decades of labor organizing that came before us. We can't accept this award without giving a very special thank you to our friends in labor who stood by us in solidarity during our rent strike. I'd like to give a special thank you to Unifor, CUPE Ontario, OPSU, ATU, Toronto Library Workers, OSSTF, EFTO, Toronto Labour Council, Unite Here, the CCPA, and Climate Justice Toronto. We're in this together, we're strong. We fight together, you better bet we will win together. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Okay.